Hello everyone, and welcome to my video tutorial on some Microsoft Office applications. And in this series we'll be talking about the certain aspects of Office Suite concerning Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Access, and Microsoft Excel. I hope you will enjoy these tutorials. Over this first one being with Microsoft Word 2016, just going over some of the creating, formatting, and editing features that are available in Microsoft Word 2016 is the version that I will be using. Now, Microsoft Word is just a general word processing component of the Microsoft Office Suite. It is used primarily to enter, edit, format, save, retrieve, and print your documents. When we create things in Microsoft Word and word processing, we call them documents. Now, Microsoft Word is heavily used in industries across the world, and therefore it is very important to be able to identify the main components of the user interface so that you are able to perform basic tasks using this word processor. While different versions of Word have different appearances, they all have most of the same features. If you know what to call the feature, you should be able to find it in other versions, as well as if you're using other word processing software such as Google Docs, Pages if you're using a Mac computer, LibreOffice Writer. Another open source one is Apache Open Office, or even Corel's WordPerfect. There are lots of options available to you. Let's go ahead and take a look now at some of those things we should know, and one of those most important things is opening a document. For my demonstrations, I will be using a Windows Microsoft 10 machine, but getting to the application varies very little going from one system to another in the Windows environment. Now, if you've installed Microsoft Office applications onto a Mac machine, that's a whole nother realm in how you open those applications. But when it comes to opening a Microsoft Office application, it's pretty simple. On a Windows machine, just go to the Start button. You can scroll through the menu items as I've shown you here on this left image, and then find Word 2016, open it up, or if you've got Word 2007, 2013, 2019, whatever the case may be. Or you can just simply type the word in, clicking the search feature at the bottom left of the Start button. Just click in Search, type in Word or Word, whichever version you're using, and it will open the start screen for you to be able to navigate around in. The Word 2016 start screen appears on the left side of the screen. You see those recent documents that have been accessed, and on the right side this is going to display blank document pages and templates. And if you're just starting out new and you want to start something new, go ahead and click on blank document. You also have the ability to search through documents. You can see the Open Other Documents there on the bottom left corner. This is where you can open up whether it's a Word document, a PDF, a HTML document that you want to edit in Word. You can do that using the word processing software. So you have different file extensions that you can open up. And then there are also the pre-formatted templates, as you see here on the right side, because you can look for things in, business area or cards. Maybe you want to create a flyer for some type of sale or car show. You can look at flyers that have already been created, so you're not starting from scratch on all of the formatting. If you want to do a resume, look at the resume section and not have to do all the formatting on your own. Once you select, as in the blank document that I said earlier, this is what you're going to see. And there are lots of features here that you should definitely become familiarized with. And one of those right away is the ribbon. The ribbon provides access to all of Microsoft Word's functions. The ribbon contains multiple commands on what's known as tabs. So we have separate tabs, as you can see: Home, Insert, Design tab, Layout tab. All of these have separate commands on them. Now, you may customize the ribbon or a group on the ribbon if your personal or on your personal computer, so you have only those features that you want to use. you do have the ability to customize here. In order to do this, all you have to do is right mouse click on the ribbon or the group you want to customize and then customize those. Another feature or aspect here that you should be familiarized with is the quick access toolbar. This is conveniently located above the ribbon and contains most commands that users access most often. Notice that by default, the save, undo, and repeat commands display when you launch Word up here in the top left. You'll see those. The save icon is that diskette icon there. So this is that quick access toolbar. If you are going to save a document and you click on that save button there, that diskette looking icon there in the top left, the Save As screen is going to open up if it's the first time you've done it. Now if you've already saved the file and you're just saving it because you've made some changes, you won't get the Save As button or the Save As page. The Save As is also going to appear on a command listed in the Backstage View, and we'll go to that here in a little while. But the Backstage View, whenever you click the File tab here on the top left, you'll go to the Backstage View. You also see that we have the ability to close this ribbon here. On the far right, you click that arrow and it'll go up, and you won't see all of these groupings that are below the tabs. You might want to do that if you want to see more of the white space, the workspace that's available. But a lot of times this will trip people up and they're like, oh no, where did my ribbon go? So you have that there as well. And then the title bar at the top. The title bar simply says or displays the name of the current file that we are currently working on. And since this one is a new one and I've had some other ones open, this is the 4th blank document. So when you open up one, it'll say document. And it obviously tells you that you are working in Word. As I mentioned earlier, here is what the Backstage View. If you hit the File tab up there on the ribbons, then this is what will open up. Lots of documents, whether they'll give you a time date stamp so you know when, and it also gives you the file path so you know where that file is located. This can be very helpful in recovering files when people forget where they saved them. And then we have the ability to open up. If you're using a Microsoft account, you can go to your OneDrive, which is cloud storage, and you can pull down files from anywhere in the world that you have saved in your cloud drive. You can look on the PC that you're currently using. You can even add places. If you have a flash drive, you could use that. And you can use the Browse button there at the bottom to look for your files. Here is that Save As dialog box that I mentioned a minute ago if you're going to save your current document. You need to specify the file name and the location where the document will be saved. And then remember that, of course. You can save a document to your local drive, your flash drive, as I mentioned earlier, your OneDrive if you're using that cloud storage, or some other portable device like a flash drive. The Save As dialog box lets you select the file format you wish to have your document saved in. Files created in Microsoft Word are often referred to as documents and have the file extension of .docx or .doc. .docx is the current format and what is generally accepted, so you don't have to worry about any word backwards compatibility issues. .doc is an older format and will not have some of the same features and options as the versions that use .docx. These are primarily going to be the 97 to 2003 documents. But if you want to save this, as I mentioned earlier, doing a flyer, you want to save it as a PDF, you can save it as a PDF, and then it's, unless someone has a PDF software that they can manipulate it, it will be saved essentially as an image. Now here on our main view, I want to take a look at those tabs. Now each tab contains several different groups. And when I say groups, if we take a look here, like we are on the Home tab of our ribbon, and here is the Font group, here is the Paragraph group, here are the Styles group, and then each of them have their own commands in them. So for example, in the Home tab, let's say we want to look at the groups, the Clipboard group. You can see that the Clipboard group is a grouping of different functions or commands, and some of them even have a drop-down list or a drop-down menu that's associated with that. So if we went over to the font group and I wanted to look at the font size or the font type, you can see I have a drop-down arrow that will show me all the different font types that are available for me to change my text. You might even see that we have the quick displays and pop-out menus like we do with the paragraph grouping here, and that will pop out a whole nother menu. The ribbon tabs are very important, and I'm using these terms so that you will make sure that you understand the lingo that's used. And you can see that I can click on the Insert tab, and that's a whole nother group or list of groups and commands. The Review tab, that tab has different groups and commands associated with it. So when we're referencing things, we want to make sure we know which tab, which group, and which command. Some groups, I mentioned earlier, have a dialog box launcher, which is just a small arrow in the lower right corner of the group that you click to launch a dialog box that displays additional options or information you can use to execute a command. Now the insertion point, that is where you start typing your text here in your workspace. Another area to be familiarized with is the zoom magnifier and the scroll bar, and lots of different areas that we'll go over in different videos. But the scroll bar on the right, that allows you to move up and down in your document. We've got one on the bottom too that allows you to move left or right in case you can't see all of the text and you have several pages. The zoom magnifier, that will allow you to, just like it sounds, view the text or page layout better based on the level you select. The word count, that allows you to know how many words, and as students, that's very important for them, because if they have to have a 2,000 word document, they want to make sure they're keeping track of that. If maybe they even have an upper limit, they have to make sure they don't go over. The views section here, we have three different options here. We have the read mode, we have the print layout, and print layout's what I'm in now because that is what most people seem to work in, and that's what Microsoft has deemed as default. And then you also have the web layout version as well, and that's that far right. You can see that with the internet icon there with the globe. Read mode provides kind of a book-like reading environment for the user. Now let's take a look at how we enter text in that new document that we've created. Now, if we're going to just type text, we go to that insertion point and we can just start typing. If we finish what we need to say in that sentence and we need to move on to a new line, then we just simply hit the enter key on the keyboard. Now, if we want to see the different marks that are created in our document, the formatting, we can go and click on the Show Hide button that's located in Word, and that will show where we've hit a space, where we've hit the enter key. If we've inserted a page break, we can see all that. So we just need to make sure that we turn on a certain feature. Now, another feature I want to talk about is whenever you enter more text that can fit onto a line and you don't want to have to hit the enter key, you can just keep typing and it'll type on to the next line. This is what's called word wrap. Now, if we do let's say we finish a paragraph and we want to create a new paragraph, we hit that enter key, which creates a return carriage. You might hear it called a carriage return or even a hard return. Now, to insert a blank line, just as I said, just hit the enter key and that will create a blank line. If we want to delete text, we can use the backspace key on our keyboard. We can hit the delete key on our keyboard. The space bar can insert or replace text with a space. That's depending on whichever mode you're in. And if we want to look at that Show Hide button, we can see here I've got some text created, and you can see that I've highlighted in the Home tab in the paragraph group, I've highlighted what that show hide button looks like. Now you can see I haven't actually hit it yet because I want you to see what it looks like with just a blank slate. We haven't turned on the show hide button. Now if we turn that on, you'll be able to see the formatting marks that are in there. You can see where we have the return carriage or the carriage return that's in here that looks just like the show hide button icon. So I just wanted you to be able to see what that looks like. And you can see here in mine I've got some red lines there. Now what does that mean? Well, let's look at that now. If we are typing away and we're not really paying attention, we go back and we see these red lines, that means there's a misspelled word or a word that's not recognized by the built-in dictionary. And you can see that here. We'll go into another spot later on about how to check our spelling and grammar as a document, but just by visual, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see that red line. So if you want to do this on your own, just type a misspelled word and press the space bar. Once you've pressed the space bar, if it's misspelled, you'll see that red wavy line appears below that word. Now we can right click that word that's been flagged by word to display a shortcut menu that will present us some suggestions, if there are any, for the correct spelling of the words and for that flagged word. And then we can click on that correct word on our shortcut menu. And here's what that would look like. You can see I've got the word. I put any misspelled word, and I misspelled. And you can see when I right click on that, I see that, oh, here's how it should be spelled. If it's maybe, let's say it's my name, and it says, well, I've never seen the word Rolland, I can make the choice to add that to the dictionary so that anytime my name is in the document, it will not be flagged by Microsoft Word as being a misspelled word. Let's say you've got some content you want to center that. We can do that as well in our paragraph group. You can see it's highlighted here, that second icon in the bottom row. That's how we would center our content. And we can do that in a paragraph. We can do the whole page, but sometimes you will just need to do that so that it's more centralized on your page. Here we can see I've got a document, and you can see how it's all lined up on the left. And you can see up here on the Home tab in the paragraph group, I've got highlighted the left justified. So if I've got that left alignment selected there, then that's what's going to be. If I want to center this document, I hit the center button in the paragraph group, and you can now see that all the words, each line is centered with the middle of the page. So the third line or fourth line there, Sea of Tranquility, you can see how that's more pulled in because all of those words have been centered in on the page. They don't need all that extra space. Now, to select a line, because sometimes we need to select the line. You can see I'm selecting the Sea of Tranquility line here. If for some reason you need to select that, just put your mouse over to the left side. So while the pointer is in a right pointing block arrow, as you see here, click the mouse and that will select that entire line that's listed to the right of the pointer. And this will allow you, let's say I wanted to make that whole line underlined or in bold. It's much easier to just go to the right or to the left, let that right pointing block arrow be created, and then click on my button, my mouse button, and that whole row gets selected rather than me clicking at the left of S and dragging it all the way to the right. There are other different shortcuts we'll go over in different lessons. Now, let's say I've got some text here and I want to change the font size of it, or maybe I just don't like the font that's selected and I want to change that font. I have that ability in my Home tab and here in the font group. And you can see that we've got I've got the font group selected here. See, and I know it may be a little busy of a picture here, but you'll get used to just doing this stuff naturally. Now with the text that's selected here, just click on the font size arrow there to display whatever the font size gallery has available so we can see what size we want to change it to. Once you select an area, you'll see it'll give you all of the font information up in the font group area, whether it's Arial or Times New Roman, whatever the font type is selected, and you can see that there. In this one, it's the Rockwell Extra Bold. If I wanted to change that to Arial, I could. If I want to change, instead of 72 as a font size, I could select 12 if need be. Or I can click in there and type what size I want it to be. So just click on the desired point size to change that font size of whatever text you have selected. Now, when you have the selected text, you will also sometimes notice that there is a mini toolbar that pops up that you can complete some of the formatting features with. And this will, rather than having to go up into the tab and the group, this main toolbar will give you those options right there at the text level. So if you wanted to change, let's say, the case of the selected text, when you have that text selected, just click on the Change Case button to display the Change Case gallery, and then just select which desired case you want in that Change Case gallery to change the case of that. And you can see, maybe you want all these letters in Hello World to be uppercase, we would just select uppercase. If you want to do a toggle case, which will have like a lowercase, the first, and then the rest of the letters in the word are all going to be capitalized. Lots of different options here, just based on how you want your text to look. So let's say I want to apply some text effects here. Now, text effect changes how the text looks. So with our text selected, if we want to make a change, we have to select the text we want to change. We're going to click the Text Effects button to display the Text Effects and Typography gallery that's available to us. And you can see that here on my image. Just point to the desired text effect to display a live preview of what the selected text is going to look like if you make that effect change. Once you find the one you need, just click the text effects to change that text of the selected text, and it will change it. And you can see here I made a change, and now instead of the black bold look, now I've applied a different effect to it. And we can also, let's say we want to shade, add some shading. We can shade as well. And we can just click somewhere, wherever we want shaded, click the shading arrow that is in our paragraph group there, and we can apply whatever desired shading color we want. So let's say I want in the background of that, I want to make that like a blue area. I'm going to change this back. I don't like that text effect. I can make that change, and now you see that I have applied a shade to this selection. And the best way to learn these things is just to simply do them. Now, I mentioned earlier how to select a single line. Well, now let's look at selecting multiple lines. We can move the first paragraph that's going to be selected until the pointer changes to a right pointing block arrow, as we did with our single one. And while that pointer is a right pointing blocks arrow, just drag downward to select all the lines that you need to change your formatting on. Or if we were going to move a paragraph, just do it that way. Just move your mouse over there, select it once it changes to that right pointing block arrow, and then just drag down how many lines you want to do. You can also, if you want to select the whole paragraph, just put your mouse somewhere in a paragraph and just triple click. That's a shortcut for selecting a whole paragraph. And once you've got that selected, if we want to go up to our font group here on our home tab and bold and underline the whole thing, we can do that. Or maybe we just want to increase the size of it to make it stand out more. We could increase the font size. Hopefully you can see we have lots of options here. And if we want to change that font size, as I said, just go up and you see I've got Apollo 11 selected here. With my mouse, I selected that. Then I went up to the font group on our home tab, clicked the arrow to drop down what size, and I can change that to a larger size. If you just want to select one word, all you got to do is put your mouse, just click once on a word. You don't have to actually highlight it, and you can change whatever you need to change to that word. But you can see I took this one from a font size of 11 up to a 20, and that really makes the Apollo 11 jump out. So pretty simple to change the font size or font type or any of that type of changes that you need to make on your document. Having a bulleted list of items just makes your items look more appealing. So we have that ability in our word processing software. You can see we have a list here of the crew that was on Apollo 11. And we've got 3 names there, and it just looks kind of blank. We've, kind of hit the enter key a couple times so those names stand out, but visually it's not very appealing. So that's why we are going to create a bullet list from these 3 paragraphs. So just select the paragraphs that need to be formatted. Go up and in your paragraph group on your Home tab, select the Bullets button to place a bullet character at each of the selected paragraph marks. So if we go up here and we go up to and select that Bullets button there in the paragraph group, you can see we have lots of options in our bullet library. Now we can select the ones that are there, such as the filled in circle, the open circle, the filled in square. We've got check marks. This is a very popular one to use, are the check marks. Arrows. We can even define a new bullet, and we can select like an image that we have that we want to have changed into a bullet. So it is very customizable. So you can see I've got those selected. Now I'm going to choose the open circle one there and click on it with my mouse, and now you can see that that gets applied, and we actually have an indentation that's added as well as the formatting. So the crew on Apollo 11, rather than just 4 straight lines, we see that we have the crew on Apollo 11 was, and then we have bullets next to those, and they're indented in to draw the reader into that section. Now, other things we can do, let's italicize some text. You can see what that looks like in the word italicize up there. Once again, this font group on the Home tab is a very strong section in your word processing software here in Microsoft Word. So to italicize your text, just click somewhere in the word that you want to be italicized to position the insertion point in the word that you want formatted. Just go up there, click the italic button to italicize the word containing that insertion point. You can see in mine, I've got the word Apollo selected. So by clicking the word Apollo and clicking the italicize button in the font group of the Home tab, it can be immediately italicized. Now if you want to italicize more than a single word, there are other methods like clicking and dragging the cursor to select more than the text, just the one word, or you can just triple click, as I said, to select a whole paragraph. Selecting the text with your mouse will bring up a mini toolbar, as I mentioned earlier. So if we want to italicize this, click the button, and you can see now the difference in Apollo. My cursor has stayed, or my insertion point has stayed in the same location, but now that word has been changed to italicize. And if we want to color text, it's the same method. Just go up, select the word, click in the word or group of wording, whatever you want to do. Go up to the font group and then just select a color. Or if you want to bold the text, same thing. Just go up into your font group on your Home tab and make the change. So you can see here, I've changed the color of Apollo to jump out as I've selected this orangish color. Now the Zoom group, we are going to use the zoom controls located on the View tab, as you see here, to change the view of your window from a magnification perspective. You have several options and can help you either see the content better or arrangement purposes with working on multiple pages. To zoom one page, just click the View on the ribbon, and that will display the View tab. Then click the One Page button that you see here on the Zoom group to make that change. When you click the One Page button to display the entire page in the document, it's going to be as large as possible. Now if you want to change the magnification, you can click on the Zoom button and then change that. If you want to go the whole page width, so you see all of your text and you don't see that little gray area on each side, obviously you're going to select page width. So there's lots of options available to you. Now what if we want to change our overall theme or the colors of everything? we can go to the Design tab on our ribbon, as you see here. It's the third one over. And on our Design tab, we can click the theme colors that are shown there. We can change the actual theme itself. But if you see that, we can change the theme colors. You see that theme colors button, and that will display a list of different theme colors known as our theme colors gallery. Then you just click the desired theme color to change the document theme colors. You can see I went from an orangish color of Apollo that we just changed. When I change the theme colors, different areas of that will apply different effects. So here now Apollo is red. I didn't go and select it, go up to the home group or the home tab and go to the font group. I changed it by the colors, and as different things are selected in your document, those will be applied because you've selected a theme color. Now sometimes when we create text, especially with the flyer, it's just not doing much good just to have raw text. So we want to insert a picture, and then once we insert that, we may need to make some changes to it. So it's very simple to do. Just position your insertion point where you want to insert the picture. Once you do that, click the Insert on the ribbon to display the Insert tab. Once you do that, and you can see I've got that listed here, click the From File button, which is just the Pictures button here in the Illustrations group. If you hover over that, you'll see that. Click the Format from File button to display an Insert Picture dialog box. And once you see this Insert Picture dialog box, you just need to navigate to wherever the picture is that you want to insert. Select the image, click the Insert button in the Insert Picture dialog box there, and the picture will be inserted at the insertion point in the document that you created. So if we go ahead and we're going to select Apollo 11 picture here, it's going to be inserted right after the exclamation point in human history, as that's where I placed my insertion point. Very simple, and it gets created. Once it's created, you can see there are dots around the image. This is so that you can resize the graphic. You can drag one of the sizing handles to increase or decrease the size of that graphic. Something else you might want to do is to apply a picture style. We can apply picture styles by clicking on as you can see here, when the picture gets inserted, the Format tab gets created and it's automatically available to us. If it's not, just click on a picture, then you will see the Format tab listed up above on the ribbon, and just go select the Format tab. And then you have lots of tools available to you for manipulating that image. So if we want to, let's say, apply a picture style, we are just going to click that Picture Tools Format tab, and then make sure we click whatever we need to do, but we have lots of options here. You can see the picture style group there. We can select the drop down More button that's just to the right of the picture styles. We also have a pop out there, you can see on the bottom right, to open up a whole nother wizard or dialog box that we can work from. Then we just select what style we want to use. So on this one, I'm going to apply a picture style and effect, and in this one I have applied a rounded diagonal corner white, and you can see that's highlighted up there. When I selected that up above and you hover over it, it'll tell you exactly what it is. So this is a rounded diagonal corner white, and you can see how that has changed that square image, and it's applied some round to it. And I've also applied a picture effect. You can see that's up in the top just to the right in our picture styles group. I chose a reflection here, and the one I chose is a half reflection touching. And you look to the bottom there, you can see that we see a reflection of our image as if it were on next to the water. And this one is touching, where you have the option to choose another one where the reflection has a little bit of white space underneath the image. So lots of things you can do, and it's just going in there and toying around and getting familiarized with the different options you have. There are a lot of things you can do that will make your pictures, make your documents so much more enhanced. Now we sometimes want to add a border around a paragraph or the page itself, or when we're printing it, just so that it looks visually more appealing. If we want to add a page border, which we can also apply to paragraphs, we're going to simply click the Design tab, as you see here on the ribbon, to display the Design tab commands and features that are available. Click on the Borders and Shading button to display the Borders and Shading dialog box. You can see here's my page borders and the page background group. And once you do that, you can then click whatever option you want. You'll see that the Borders and Shading dialog box pops up, and I can select border styles. I can click what color I want the border to be. I can say what width I want that border to be, or what thickness that I want that I desire. And you can see we have a preview section over here that shows you what those changes are going to look like when they're applied. Once you have what you need, and you're like, okay, you know what, I like this box and I want it to be blue, or whatever the case may be, then you just hit the OK button and everything gets applied. Now, sometimes we want to add some emphasis on the spacing, and we might want to add some spaces before paragraphs, or maybe some after, just to kind of create a little bit more separation. Very simple to do. You're just going to go to your Layout tab, and you'll see the paragraph group there. Just click on the paragraph pop out there, or you can just make the choices right here in the paragraph group. I can change how many points are before the paragraph that I've selected. You can just click in there and then just start making the changes, or even after. So if I got a few paragraphs listed and I want a little bit of space in between the second and first and the second and third, click on the second paragraph, add some spacing before, add some after, and you'll see that those paragraphs will have a little bit more white space on the page. You can see that bottom right corner, as I mentioned before, this is called the Dialog Box Launcher. This will open up that little pop-up wizard or pop-up window that will give you those other features in a certain work group. So here we're in the Layout tab, we're in the Page Setup group, and I'm selecting the Page Setup Dialog Box Launcher to be able to launch the box. And here you can see I want to, for this one, I'm going to change how the document is centered. I want that to be centered vertically on my page. I can do it horizontally or vertically. And you can see I've got the Layout group selected here. And then I will go down to the Page section, the vertical alignment, and I can make that change from, instead of the page being vertically aligned towards the top, I want it to be centered. And then once I select center, I can just, you can see here I want this done to the whole document, not just a paragraph. Even though I can make changes there in the Apply To section, I'm going to select OK, and then my document will be centered. Now, sometimes we need to get rid of text that we put in there mistakenly when we're going back and we're proofing our work. So that is a good part where you just go in, select the text with your mouse, and then make sure you hit the delete key. It's that simple. There's a reason that delete key is on that keyboard, and that is for you to get rid of text that you no longer need. So here I've got the word up selected. I go to my keyboard, I hit the delete button, and now I can see that my sentence now says its mission was to go where no human, instead of its mission was to go up where no human. Very simple to delete your text that you no longer need. Sometimes we have text that we see, oh, you know what, that doesn't make much sense, so I need to move it around. Maybe whole paragraphs, whatever the case may be. So to move that text, we simply, rather than deleting it and retyping it, which a lot of people still do, we have the ability to move that text by simply selecting the text to be moved, and with the pointer in the selected text, push and hold down the mouse button, which displays a small dotted box with the pointer. Then simply drag the insertion point to the location where the selected text is to be moved. Once you get there, simply release the mouse button to move the selected text to the location of that dotted insertion point. Click anywhere in the document window to remove the selection. So as you see here, The moonwalk took place the following day. That doesn't look right. So I've selected it. Then I click on the mouse. I hold that to the point where I want to go, which we see here in the second image is at the end of the period on July 20th, 1969. Once I release that, you can see that the moonwalk took place the following day is now placed right after there and before on July 21st, 1969. Exactly where I wanted it. That's all we need to do. Well, that is it for looking at Microsoft Word and learning a little bit about creating, formatting, and editing text in our documents. We also looked at formatting and inserting images and how to move stuff around. There's a lot that is incorporated in our word processing software. But becoming familiarized with this will help you in almost any industry you go into where you're going to be having a need for word processing. So thank you for following along in this video, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the videos as we discuss Office 2016, and hopefully this virtual instruction is very helpful to you in maybe not learning something new, maybe even you've done it before but you forgot how to do it, or you forgot that feature was there. I just want to thank you for following along and enjoy using your Microsoft Office suite.